What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we are checking out a real cool one from Shirogorov. This is the WR Hydronian, which is the Walter Randolph, one of, I believe, 3 specials that they did, and I've seen them do it now a few times, where they're kind of doing a couple different versions of this. So, wanted to show this one prior to it actually going out to my friend Paul, and just wanted to get some eyes on it, take a look at it, see what it's all about, and kind of take things from there. So first and foremost, let's get some measurements on this and remind you, these are casual conversations. They are not in any way, you know, exact measurements on this and angle that and blah blah blah. It's just a fireside conversation, talking about knives like I would with you guys at a coffee shop. The only difference being at a coffee shop, I might have better luck finding my tape measure. So I'm going to find that here and cut back in one sec. Alright, so let's take a look at this guy. And here we go. So we are coming in at 7 3/4 OAL, overall length, and blade length sharpened of about 3.5. So pretty standard. This is a modified Neon Zero, which is their high-end production. So that should be no surprise that it does match a standard Neon. In this realm, we've got a couple different versions. I do have another Walter Randolph here to show and compare side by side, and I'll do another video on this one. But I can't get all 3, but I have managed to track down 2 of them. So a couple different designs, but as you know, that's 2 patterns they are known for. Size-wise on this guy, let's do the standard small and large Sebenzas before we get into any of the other Shirogorovs. So there's your large Seb, and there is your small Seb. So nice in between the two, and remember the angle of the dangle. Anything down here looks bigger than it is. Good problem to have. But that particular knife is not as big as it will appear, the small Sebenza. In this world, I don't have my Stellar today, but let's do a couple comparisons. We've got the beautiful Mini Quantum as a comparison, which is very similar, a little bit bigger in actuality. We will do a F95, which we should all know what those would look like. And then let's do as well the 111, just for comparison's sake. And you know what, let's not do the custom, because it is a production knife. We'll do the standard turtle, and then the 111 on top, as we like to do. And it's just fitting in the frame from what I see, nothing touch. Whew, thank God. So there's kind of your size comparison. And let's make sure this one gets away nice and safe, and nothing gets bumped. So there you kind of have your couple different variations of the Shirogorov line. The main thing that you'd probably be wondering looking at this, what makes it so special compared to a standard Neon Zero? And in all honesty, it's a blank Neon Zero. So typically they won't have that mark on the blade. I don't know why they don't do that on the Neon Zero. They will mark, obviously, the M390, and I excuse the fingerprints on this, but I can see some under light. But the big thing here is that there is a Walter Randolph stamp right underneath the M390, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this. I'm hoping the camera under some light can kind of pick that up, but that's a cool little one-off stamp that's on there. And if you are a WR Bladeworks guy, you'll definitely appreciate that. Otherwise, they've taken it, they've blasted the knife itself. It's definitely feels a little different than a standard finish, but it is kind of all around nice fit and finish as we'd expect at this kind of price point. For reference, when this guy came out, they're lottery knives, and I want to say they were right around $13.50, somewhere in that conversation, US. And you'd think, okay, well, you know, it's a Neon Zero and it's got some couple more patterns to it. Why is it worth 500 bucks more? It's pretty simple. There's, you know, one of this, one of the other one, and one of another design. In that release, they've done a couple more since, but they are all unique. They're not, there's not multiples of them. So if you see one you like and you're happy with, you're going to have to pay the premium. From a functionality perspective, there's nothing different than a Neon Zero. Everything's the same. Okay. Still have the beautiful drop point blade with that nice little tip on it, which I love. That little drop there, that looks sharp, and you know, it's definitely unique. It's running on multi-row bearings, which most Neons are, I believe. I can't really think if there's any that are on single row bearings. Detent, nice and strong on them, as people often indicate that because they are a little smaller, they say the detent tends to be a little stiffer. That will break in with time. This one's not being flicked, so it's definitely going to feel a little bit stiffer for a while. They are sensitive to lock bar pressure as well, so if people are holding them, remember that pocket clip that I was talking about. On almost all my videos nowadays, they transfer all the weight from one side onto the frame versus the lock bar. So when you are holding the knife, just be careful that you're not squeezing down, because what I'll do here is with my middle finger, I'll kind of apply some pressure, and I'll try to flip it with some pressure on it while it's closed. Maybe that might help, hey? So a little bit of pressure on it. See, it's very sensitive. You're not going to be able to pop it, but if you take your back fingers, hold it on over the pocket clip as your whole anchor point, right? Same thing, middle finger on the back. All of a sudden, it's as free as a bird. So that's all I can really tell you, is ensuring that you're doing that. We still have a beautiful spot for a lanyard if you want to run that, and I love how it's kind of subtly built into the frame. I think that looks amazing. And if we compare that with a Neon NL, you can kind of see they do it ever so slightly different. I definitely like the look of the Zero more, as it's not as in your face. And these do have different blade dimensions, despite what the literature say. I think the Zero is just a hair longer. As you can kind of see, it punches outside the frame. So they are different, ever so slightly, but it's those details that are pretty cool. What else? We've got the back spacer, which always looks good. I think this one's titanium, but it's matched in a blast, which looks awesome. And then ergo-wise, it's the same, right? So I've got an XL hand, and I still have blade or handle sticking off here, not blade. Handle sticking off, and the ergos of the jimping is perfect, and definitely matches that back spacer, which is nice. As always, I just love how they've been doing that lately, kind of matching some of the patterns. It's certainly functional on a knife that is just totally awesome and totally carryable. The actual milling work on this one, done really well. I've got no concerns with it. It's consistent. It's done at a very high tolerance, and is a pattern that you'll definitely recognize if you're a Walter Randolph fan. Otherwise, we've got a couple proprietary screws on here if you do want to work on this yourself. And remember that you know, it's proprietary, but it's essentially a screwdriver, but don't use them. You know, use a penny, something softer than the material of the bolt, or invest in a tool, something like this. You know, these are available all over the place and have all the bits you're going to need to work on Shirogorovs, other than the reverse bit, which is found in their customs. But this or a pen tool, all the bits are inside the handle, and you're never going to mar or damage any of your Shirogorovs. They are expensive, but they're also made really, really well and really cool. I'll show you a comparison with a custom division tool. You get a little carbon fiber, and they're numbered if the camera wants to focus, which is a nice little touch. I think that looks sharp. Otherwise, they have the same bits. They do the same things. They this particular one has a reverse bit inside it. That's all. So, you know, if you want to work on it, you can. It's very simple. A lot of them are built so that you know, you stack from the frame up frame bearings, blade bearings top, and they're easy to rebuild. Multi-row bearings I find tend to run better with either very, very light oil or none at all. Raw dog, as they say. They're just great. And if you haven't watched any of my videos, I always refer to the multi-row bearings, or MRBS, as a pinwheel style bearing instead of a round bearing track with balls in it. It's pinwheel off of it. So, and I think on the Neons, I think there are only 2 balls instead of 3 on the others, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I had a subscriber mention that the balls on these are 1.5 mils, which is a standard, so easy to find. This particular version, obviously M390 versus like LMAX or Chromax on some of the NL models, which is their premium production steel. You know, some of their other ones, every now and then they'll do S90V or M398, but for the most part, M390 is their premium level production steel, which I think looks phenomenal. Nice sharp grind, nice even grind, as you would expect. And then we've got that, as always, you know, lock bar insert. That's not only to replace if you have to replace it, but it's to tune the material between the titanium as well as the steel. So you don't want it to kind of get any lock stick, so you make sure that you customize that interface connection, and you get a really awesome experience on a really great knife. Now, what's so cool about this compared to a standard Neon Zero is, you know, the first thing is when I look at this, like the fit and finish and the details, it's definitely unique compared to a Neon Zero, which I'd say is kind of consistent throughout. This, you can kind of see, it feels almost like a thicker coating on it, a thicker blast than what I'm used to. Like, it almost looks, I don't want to use the term grainier, but it's definitely a thicker blast, which is cool. And it kind of hides some of the milling, which is awesome. Everything's nice and tight, well made, dead center, as always. It's a Shirogorov. You don't worry about these things. Pocket size on the Neon Zeros, or this particular one, is just like almost exactly the same as a bug out. It's like literally a perfect EDC knife, and it's definitely one that I want to be carrying more than the bug out that I normally carry, which is sad. Don't hate on me, but I do carry a bug out from time to time. And otherwise, we've got an absolute home run of a knife that you know, I think Recon 1 in conjunction with Walter Randolph did a great job doing the pattern, doing the extra blasting on the frame. The only thing I wish that this thing would have is a number. I wish they would have put that somewhere. And maybe they did, but I'm not opening this up to find out. But I don't see anything inside, and all the milled pockets. I'll try not to knock this over. But as I did say, it is all milled out inside from the factory, but it sure would be cool if they numbered these a little bit. Oh, let's get this to focus. I don't see anything on the inside, but I have been wrong before. You can ask my wife about that. I'm never right about anything. So I'm used to it. So I don't see anything on the inside, anything that I can, without looking inside with a flashlight. It would be cool if they numbered these, you know, 1 of 1 or signature, but that's probably what that whole blade stamp on there is for. Otherwise, guys, that's kind of it. I will do another video on the Walter Randolph with the kind of hold S pattern on it, which looks real nice. These are very difficult to find, very, very unique. They're a little pricier, given that they're not a custom division knife, but for the right person who's a big fan of the other line, they're going to love this and cherish it, and you know, walk away with a really, real cool, exclusive one-off of a knife that you know, is going to hold its value for a long time to come, I think. So, super cool knife. Alright guys, that will be it for me. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, certainly leave them below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share, visit the site bladezilla.ca for this and a lot of other knives that I do tend to put for sale. So that is it for me. Have yourselves a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.